What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Joystick Ayrton, and welcome to the biggest hardware disappointment I have ever actually personally used. So let's get started. There is no reality where the MSI Claw is anywhere near worth the MSRP for the thing. It's incredible. And I, with my Legion Go video, the first one I made, really leaned into the controversy, used it to kind of stir the pot a little bit, and I thought that video did really well. And I thought with the Claw and with Intel and things, I could do the same thing here, and I could try to put a different spin on this content and make it something nobody expected. And hopefully it was a slightly decent product that I could lean into that. But it is really, really, really bad. So I don't want to waste my time, and I really don't want to waste your time. So we're going to take what was going to be a 25-minute video, and we're going to shrink that down to, I don't know, hopefully this is under 8 minutes, because really we're just going to talk about the bad, the bad, the bad, and the what's not terrible. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the two things that don't suck on MSI's Claw. All right, so there are three things that I don't think MSI completely dropped the ball on. That is really what I wanted to highlight here, things that you can put a gold star around. MSI Center is one of them. We always talk about half-baked things. The Phawx absolutely loves to bring that up, especially when it pertains to the Legion Go and so on and so forth. But MSI Center, it's a little bit half-baked, but it is not bad. Things really do work fairly well in it, and I was super impressed with how well it functioned altogether. When that came to mapping controls, when that came to changing power profiles, setting noise profiles, changing brightness, adjusting things, setting up different launchers in it, it actually worked kind of flawlessly for my experience. I was pretty happy with it. Changing things on the fly worked really well. It is far superior to the original launch of Armory Crate with the Rog Ally or Legion Space with the Legion Go. So good job, MSI. MSI Center is not a piece of junk, and it should still be called Dragon Center, because that was like, it was a dragon, way cooler. But kudos. Okay, the second thing I actually like about this device is ergonomics. When I got it, I absolutely loved holding it, playing with it, and it kind of made me go, damn, the Legion Go is absolutely massive. And it's kind of because of the MSI Claw that I have decided to back the 2024 GPD Win Mini on Indiegogo. More about that in a separate video. But if MSI did anything right, they helped me buy another handheld. So good job again. All right, so I actually think the ergonomics on this device are pretty spot on. They could do a little bit better on the trackpad. They could do a little bit better on the triggers. Those are really the two biggest downsides, but I love where the back buttons are for my hands. If you have bigger hands, I could see that being an issue, but it is your typical gamepad. It feels like a Steam Deck. It feels like an ROG Ally, but kind of sculpted. I don't know if sculpted is really the right word, but it doesn't feel as good as the Steam Deck in my opinion, but it beats out the ROG Ally. It is lighter, not by a whole lot, but a little bit than the Lenovo Legion Go, and it just fits really well. So ergonomically, okay, so we had two good things going. I'm going to kind of wrap this one into the screen. The screen is pretty much the exact same screen as the ROG Ally. A very good high refresh VRR display. Works really nice, and it looks really nice unless you're playing a game over 720p, because the thing won't play it. But that's a totally separate issue. Another thing that's in my other category, called the meh category, is audio. The speakers actually are fairly decent. I don't think they're nearly as good as the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck, but they don't sound bad, and they blow the Legion Go completely out of the water. So you got three good, one meh. Let's quickly run through all of the bad and wrap this thing up. Okay, so let's talk about the bad. Power profiles, bad. Battery life, bad. Game performance, bad. Refresh rate, irrelevant, because performance is so bad. VRR, performance so bad, makes it irrelevant. Everything else, pretty much irrelevant. It's terrible. It's awful. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. That's a really weird sentence. So let's cut that up really quick so we can get out of this video, because I'm ready to get rid of this piece of junk. This could be a viable product if the price point wasn't so blown out of proportion. I don't know what MSI is doing. This is a device that comes with a 1080p high refresh rate panel when it can only perform at 720p medium or lower settings anywhere relevant whatsoever. When you're inside of those correct settings, games typically play fairly well. Dark Souls 3. I had Elden Ring playing fairly well. Armored Core 6 playing very well. But this is 720p, low to medium settings with things really scaled down. And a lot of times having to use FSR or some kind of scaling technology to help it along. Other times you get games where there's some kind of bug relating to the drivers with Intel, where there's just no actual audio coming from Gears of War 5. And then there's just games that won't launch. I've had that issue with the Z1 Extreme before. I've had that issue with the 6800U before, but not to this extent where it hits so many titles. It's a buggy mess. Performance is just so subpar. You got a couple things that I think were decent. MSI Center, ergonomics, but nothing that actually makes you think, yeah, this is a viable product. At $700 for the worst version that in this reality performed better than the better version, because MSI just, they were like brewing up the potion and they messed up the recipe and they plopped out $700. It's kind of insane. So performance is god awful. You're 720p low most of the time to medium settings at the maximum to have a playable frame rate in any title that isn't from 2015. Keep that in mind. Any device on the market, even the Z1 non-extreme, that is half the price of this thing, will perform a little bit better in the worst case scenario. So keep that in mind. Go to Best Buy and pick one of those up for $350 or $400 because it's not $699. So with that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to wrap this up and hope we can trim it down to something that is worth watching. So I wanted to try to shrink this video up as much as humanly possible because there is so much great in-depth content out there about the Claw that can tell every single person on the planet it is a waste of space, it is a waste of silicon, it is a waste of bumpers and buttons and screens, and a waste of $700, and you should not consider this in any circumstance whatsoever. But it made me open my eyes to a few things. It made me see the improvement that VRR makes compared to the Legion screen. We'll talk about that in a separate video. Do not shoot me after everything I've said. It made me realize just the size and the weight of different devices and how much I really enjoy playing my Anerbic device, my RG556. Battery life is so god awful on this thing. Man, 50% brightness, 50% volume, 720p low settings, and I'm talking 45 minutes, maybe. Like I couldn't even get through a couple missions on Cyberpunk. It was that bad. So I really wish this device was priced properly. If it was $399 at the flipping maximum, you'd be looking at something that I would tell you, yeah, you should buy a Steam Deck, but yeah, if you wanted a Windows handheld, this is a viable option at that price. It makes the Z1 non-extreme Rog Ally look like a product on the market that is actually worthwhile, especially when it came out and we all were like scratching our heads thinking, what in the absolute hell is ASUS doing? Well, MSI did such a bad job with all of the line of the Claw that it made that bad product a good product, which is just so ass backwards that it just doesn't make any sense. There's not a single handheld on the market that is running on an AMD chipset. So Neo, the Rog Ally, the Legion Go, a Steam Deck, a GPT Win 4, a Win Mini. There's not a single one on the market that you shouldn't pick before picking this one. So with that being said, let me know your experience with the Claw in the comment section down below. I was going to sell it. I was going to return it. I couldn't decide. I think I'm going to have to return it because I think it's worth about $5 to anybody who has half a brain. And if I sold it and got anything out of it, selling it that way, I would feel really bad doing that to someone. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Claw, on the channel, the video, and everything in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.